So now we're going to take a look at a little bit of an older, but still happening situation that you may be aware of. I just added this to the breakdown playlist today, right before I started recording this video. So you may or may not have had a chance to look at it if you are following the breakdown playlist, but you may have seen it somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and play it.
Include Allison Keith for the clerk. We'll sit here
a situation that is happening in Dalton to a woman who has found herself a target of Tiffany Henyard's weapons.
My team, the team that I ran with, including Allison Keith for the clerk, would sit here and turn on me the way y'all did right, 2 weeks into taking office. That showed me that you guys would have been planning, plotting, meeting. People already been snitching on y'all this entire time. It's sad.
Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today I want to talk about this situation involving the super mayor, Tiffany A. Henyard, who is the mayor of Dalton, Illinois. She also sits on the Thornton Township Board of Trustees, 2 positions that net her nearly $300,000 in income, and this allegation from one of her political opponents that the super mayor tried to murder her. No, I'm not kidding about this. This is actually what's being alleged, and we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. But before we do, I want to thank everyone who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform. So the scandals involving the super mayor are honestly too much to name. I've made about 6 videos on this person, got an entire playlist. It will be linked in the description. You should check it out. But essentially, this is a woman who is misusing
and watch his videos at your own risk. He was the person I was referring to, who has one video that is just so raunchy and racist that I had to report it for hate speech. And, I did comment on his video and was like, I appreciate you contributing to this, this conversation. But I wonder how you would describe this person if she wasn't Black, if you would use these same exact adjectives. So watch his shit at your own risk. He's cool in this one.
Public funds, she takes no accountability, she overpays for her police detail, which costs $1 million more than the previous person, and she has driven both the Thornton Township and Dalton, the city of 20,000 people, into millions upon millions of dollars in debt. And one of the more recent scandals that I did not make a video about is the fact that she's giving away $1 million in Dalton, even though, again, this town of 20,000 people with a median income of $25,000 is somehow $7 million in debt under her watch. But we got to go a little bit back to a previous.
Now, let me clear something up. I've heard too many people from Dalton, including public official Jason House, Trustee Jason House, and Trustee Edward Steve say that information about the median income being $25,000 is way off. And I thought so too, because I see a lot of retired people, and the average retired person makes $60,000 a year just on pensions that they saved from when they was 14 to 65 or whatever. It didn't seem like a right number to me, because that's really, really low. I've lived in places in the world where the average income was at about that, and they were much worse off than Dalton from what I see. So I'm glad that information has been cleared up. I'm not sure why this person, as up to date and informed as he is still spewing that information, but it is misinformation.
Scandal, one of the initial scandals involving the super mayor, and that was her hiring a sex offender to work in a position where the sex offender would go into people's homes.
We want transparency.
About 20 Dalton residents and a couple trustees protest outside Village Hall today, furious after a Fox 32 investigation found this registered child sex offender on the public payroll.
a sex offender, you don't give them carte blanche to go into different people's homes.
Now, the reason we're referencing this particular scandal is because the start of this alleged assassination attempt actually stems from this particular issue, because one of the officials that was actually a whistleblower on this and led a protest in order to get this guy fired and actually pushed for the recall election of Tiffany actually is the victim of this alleged assassination attempt. This is a woman called Valeria Stubbs, a retired member of the Cook County Sheriff's Office.
I could almost guarantee y'all, and I said I wouldn't break this up too much, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it right now because I'm almost certain that woman's name is probably Valeria. But that just might be a cultural disconnect.
Who again has had enough of Tiffany A. Henyard and wants her out of office, and is actually using her political power, her political influence in order to rally people against her. So much so that that recall election against Henyard actually did succeed in voting her out of office, but unfortunately it was declared unconstitutional by a Cook County judge. And by the way, this lady has some commentary on that particular.
A million years that
I didn't mean to go back, but let me just speak on that real quick because I haven't really had an opportunity to. Ooh, that's the good part right there. As far as the recall, I did do my research, and I haven't done a video on it yet because it isn't really necessary yet. But let me just share with you. Number one, there was a successful recall of the mayor. The citizens of Dalton did vote her out of office. The unfortunate thing is that a Cook County judge actually overturned the recall because two things were done at the very same time. There was I'm just going to call it a proposal to recall her, and the vote were both done in the same procedure. And you have to do a proposal, then a vote. Just like with the budget, they have to estimate the budget and then approve it. So that would be the only reason. That was what the judge cited as the reason. It was a technicality. And the reason why it wasn't pushed to do another recall using the correct space is because she'll be out in 2025. We know that. Unless, I learned a lot from studying Trump's election. I learned that anything can happen. So be prepared to fight. And if I were them, I would be gearing up to recall her very soon. But that's not my money. And it ain't theirs, apparently.
Henyard's friend was a gang rapist. He was convicted of
whom Henyard hired as a village
whistleblower on this and led a protest in order to get this guy fired and actually pushed for the recall election of Tiffany actually is the victim of this alleged assassination attempt. This is a woman called Valeria Stubbs, a retired member of the Cook County Sheriff's Office, who again has had enough of Tiffany A. Henyard and wants her out of office, and is actually using her political power, her political influence in order to rally people against her. So much so that that recall election against Henyard actually did succeed in voting her out of office, but unfortunately it was declared unconstitutional by a Cook County judge. And by the way, this lady has some commentary on that particular judge.
The protesters are also calling for the departure of former Cook County Circuit Court Clerk Dorothy Brown, whom Henyard hired as a village administrator, making $100,000 a year, despite numerous scandals and an ongoing federal investigation into bribery under her county tenure.
Dorothy Brown needs to go back to the city of Chicago. Dorothy Brown is bringing Dorothy Brown tactics out here in the village.
So after it was revealed that Tiffany A. Henyard's friend was a gang rapist, he was convicted of that gang rape, and she hired him without the approval of the Board of Trustees in Dalton, and the public got to see it, he had to be removed from that position. But Tiffany allegedly, according to the allegations from Valeria Stubbs, was not happy with this, and on multiple instances, she showed up to Stubbs' home in order to intimidate her into backing down and stopping the criticism of her. However, that did not work. So Stubbs...
I know that is really hard to imagine that a public official, whether it be a trustee, a senator, a mayor, a governor, an alderman, whatever would have the lack of professionalism, self-respect, decorum to go to a citizen's home. That's so. That's low class. It's a low life. That's the word I'm going to use. That's the word my parents used. It's a low life mentality. All of us have had beef with somebody. Okay? And we know beef is when I see you, guaranteed to be in, I see you. We understand all of that. But truth be told, we know how to conduct ourselves around somebody we can't stand. We know how to move through a room full of vultures. We're intelligent, professional people who got something to lose. But Tiffany Henyard hadn't had nothing before she was a mayor except the burger joint. So she didn't have that training, that development that makes you hold your peace when somebody stands oppositional to your professional success. We don't be fighting at work. We don't be showing up. And you talking about a customer. You're not talking even about, as far as I understand, we're not talking about another politician even. We're talking about somebody she's supposed to be protecting. She's the mayor of this village. And whether she likes that person or not, her duty is to protect them. What world does she live in? I know it's difficult for us to imagine and wrap our brains around that type of mentality and behavior and thought pattern and way of life. But that's what you would do if you were in the projects.
Stubbs ended up having instances where shots were fired and hit property that was owned by her.
Right here. And these dummies on camera in a whole SUV.
In fact, 2 vehicles owned by Valeria Stubbs ended up having bullet holes in them. Her home was fired upon, and all we have as evidence for who possibly did this is this particular vehicle from this still image from the surveillance video from some kind of camera in the area that sped off right after the shooting. So we have a situation where somebody who is a former official living in Dalton has had enough of the supermayor, has had enough of Tiffany A. Henyard. She decided that she was going to fight and try to get this sex offender pulled off of this regulatory position, this inspector position, led a protest in order to do so, and she was a key figure in the recall campaign against Henyard, and all of a sudden she was victimized by gunfire in her vehicles and at her home. On top of that, Henyard...
There's something I heard when I was a little girl, and I'm glad I heard it. I heard that revenge is a dish best served cold. And if you were raised by classy women, then you know what that means. That's some dynasty shit right there. But the woman has organized a protest against Henyard and all this stuff that's going on. And all of a sudden, she don't even wait 6 months, a year, the middle of the night, broad daylight. She done paid Pookie and them 2 8-balls. I really don't even know what that was. I heard Mike Epps say him and Cat Williams did an 8-ball in a hotel room with some bitches. So that's all I know. I'm assuming it's a whole lot of weed, a whole lot of cocaine, and something else. I think it's cocaine and something else. I don't know, because I don't know. But I'm just thinking, because I really honestly do believe And I don't have to say allegedly because this is what I believe. Just like you don't have to say allegedly Jesus died on the cross, I don't have to say allegedly the biggest drug dealer in Dalton, Illinois. I believe it's Tiffany Henyard. I believe she's involved in a dope game. Absolutely. She didn't do that Nino shit. Nobody in their right mind does that. She's there. She's in there. That's her world. She actually is. Y'all understand? She's doing the same shit. Take it very seriously. She's doing, and it was a meme. It was funny when it was mutant mics, but now we're talking about murder. Motherfucking murder. You feel me? Shout out to Rick Ross. She's doing the same things that a Nino Brown would do because he was in an apartment, a project, a disenfranchised area. His level of decorum and professionalism and strategy could only go so far because he was intellectually, he was an idiot. Nino Brown was not smart. The smart ones worked for him. Hit. And some of them had to go down too. Hit. But she's doing the very same thing. She's extorting businesses. She's having businesses raided. What would keep us from believing that she would have someone murdered at this point? At this point. So why wouldn't we believe that she would even be involved? Why wouldn't we believe that she'd be involved in illicit business? The thing is, I need a soundbite of one soundbite because I hear the Klingon talk about drugs. I've heard Collins talk about drugs. You know, I've heard Lacey talk about drugs. I never heard Henyard say one word about. She don't even have no programs for substance abuse victims that I'm aware of. She don't have no reform. I mean, she got a second chance program, and that's probably where she getting her boys from, her workers. I'm not even gonna hold you. Listen, I got a college, I got degrees, but I was raised in the hood. I've been in a house that was raided before. I understand how people move when they, not my parents' house. Let me be very clear. Ola said to tell you. I hear you, Ola. Mama said it wasn't her house. It was a neighbor down the street. I was at their house. And fortunately, the police had a relationship with my dad and let him know they were raiding the house. But he was not allowed to come in and get me because my father worked with the police to keep certain things from happening in our city. Was smart enough to never run for political office, but definitely did the work. And so the police let my dad know the house was going to be raided. It was a Saturday morning. We were at a neighbor's house, doing kid stuff. And so my daddy was right outside. He was right outside when I got raided. They came in the house. They took me and my brother outside. That's all I know. But listen. I have seen how people move and behave and their mentalities when they operate in certain lifestyles. Like, pimps move a certain way. They have a certain way they talk. And I don't care if a pimp don't pimp no more. Mama D still gonna talk like Mama D talk. You understand what I'm saying? So I do believe. Because where did she get $8,000 to buy people's gas? She was still a trustee. She was running a burger joint that she still ain't paid for. She still owes the community college money for the burger joint she had at the community college. Where'd she get $8,000 from to buy people gas and buy their vote? She got all the ways and moves of either a dope dealer's girlfriend or a dope dealer, or as we call them in my neighborhood, the candy lady, because that's what she was. She sold us candy. Yeah, but she sold that shit. She made sure that the community was well supplied with whatever they needed. You tell me, because I'm following the pattern. I'm looking at the people who support her, and they all look like crackheads. Y'all didn't see that man in his face at that Valentine's thing? Come on, now, let's talk real talk. If you don't like it, stop looking like a crackhead. Or as I've told my daughter to say, a double dude, because I don't like her saying crackhead. So she says, a double dude. You look like a double dude. It's just a nicer way to say crackhead. But look, let's look at that video last night. Did those people not look like crackheads in that fucking? Did not every single person who showed their face in that video look like they've been out there? If not now, recently. Birds of a feather. Let's get back to it.
Knows exactly where she lives, and the reason why is because she's repeatedly showed up to the property around this period of time in order to threaten and menace her. And in a particular instance, when the super mayor showed up to her door and she wasn't home, her rage could not be contained to the point where she actually started knocking on the doors of the neighbors, demanding to know the location of Stubbs so that she can get at her. She was described as...
You would think this woman and her share the same dick, and it was made of a gold brick. Tiffany, honey, you got to get out of your feelings, because you're right there, Gemini Cancer, and you really got to get out of your feelings because you fucking up, bitch. You got to slow down. Okay, you need to get some earth in you. You got too much air, too much water, you all over the fucking place. Nobody creates witnesses. You don't create witnesses, you be discreet. You don't even leave a note. No face, no case. But you done gone to this woman's neighbor's house and demanding that they tell you where she is. You just literally created a whole, you know how we've watched all the murder shows and they got motive, opportunity. You better not. I swear to God, you better not.
Enraged, angry, and all that. And considering this is somebody who is a criminal herself, she was arrested in the city of Chicago for breaking into vehicles about 5 or 6 years prior to her being elected mayor, prior to her being the head of the Thornton Township Board of Trustees, you know that she has some criminal affiliations, not to mention the fact that she actually hired a legitimate criminal. On top of that, Henyard has an excessive police detail that she's well overpaying in order to have control over that detail, and the former police chief, the one that was opposed to her, was ousted, fired, again without the approval of the trustees, and she inserted a puppet in her position. So it's no surprise to me that they were unable to find the suspect behind the shooting because A, the police are spending a lot of time, money, and resources surrounding Henyard and being her own personal detail, so there's not enough cops on the beat, and B, the police are in her back pocket.
AKA the police may also be her dope boy, because they keep using words like pickups and drop-offs. Of what? We've all worked in offices. What you picking up and dropping off? Okay.
So if something maybe happened to an enemy of Tiffany A. Henyard, maybe that's not such a big problem for all of these officers making all this overtime pay that they would not normally make under a normal administration. On top of that, Tiffany A. Henyard has made it absolutely clear that the black people that attack her, those people are actually not really black, they're race traitors, and they should let her steal and loot the treasury, take lavish vacations to Vegas, fly first class to all these other cities, rack up bills, and charge it to the taxpayers, unless they want to be labeled as race traitors.
And that's what I'm tired of. We got to sit here and do these speeches every board meeting, being here to 10, 11 o'clock at night, ain't even got to the agenda. Because everybody want to say they look sideways stuff, and then now we got to sit here trying to remember what y'all saying and then say something back just to tell the residents or show them that we are doing what's right. Because y'all got false narratives out there, and y'all should be ashamed of y'allself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman. That's
So enough of us talked about the religious abuse, and now she's going to the identity abuse. And enough of us are talking about that she's probably going to find something else to abuse him on next. Because you know she's watching all of us.
Empowered. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. All the stuff that y'all did to get people to come to our community, to just diss and down our community. Shame on y'all.
Now,
you know what's crazy though is this would have been a beautiful story if she had done this the right way, because coming from looking like Steely in Color Purple, her look is inconsistent, but it's better than it was. So that would have been a beautiful thing to celebrate if she had done the right thing, if she had maybe got some voice and dictation training. And I'm not talking about stealing either. I'm talking about if she had done things the right way and had asked the board to pay for her to be professionally developed so that she could look and be the right thing. If she could go to some conferences to learn about leadership and servant leadership and what a public servant really is supposed to be, you know, that would really have been a good investment. Like I mentioned before, Toastmasters, maybe a couple of 101 courses on voice and dictation. I just think that this would have been a beautiful story. It would have been beautiful, but...
By the way, there was actually another instance where Tiffany Henyard showed up to her place when she actually was home. She was banging on the door, acting all crazy, acting all irate, and then Stubbs opens the door and she's like, "What the hell are you doing here on my property?" And Henyard, which I believe was an obvious intimidation tactic, said, "You called the city because you wanted us to clear the snow from your area, so I showed up personally," which is very weird and very odd, especially considering that there would be assassination attempts on this particular critic of Tiffany A. Henyard. And by the way, this is speculation. This is the opinion of Valeria Stubbs. She believes that it is Henyard behind this, and I would be inclined to disbelieve this speculation if I didn't cover a story of another corrupt mayor in California who actually used a gang member, a convicted felon, to threaten and intimidate a critic of hers. So this kind of attitude is very prominent in areas that are overwhelming.
I just said, I haven't watched this all the way through because I don't really have that kind of energy to watch something like this the whole way through and then come watch it with you. Like, that's too much for me. So, like, I usually watch it enough to know that he ain't saying the wrong words and that he's on point, because he is. His facts are pretty strong for the most part. And then I come watch it with you so we can watch it together. But didn't just say she probably uses that second chance program as her boys, her goons. And here this other mayor was using drug dealers as, well, not drug dealers, I apologize. That was very Anglo of me. Was using gang members as her goons. Now here's the connection that we have to make, and I think it's very important. I didn't plan on making this connection, but I've decided just now to make it, so follow me. I've said before that the chief of police is appointed by the mayor. The police work for the chief of police. Therefore, the police work for the mayor. Now, who has more access to gangs and goons than the police? They got informants, don't they? Don't they got access to people who they have to say, "Hey, I know you got this coming up. Do this for me and I'll make it easier for you. Go handle this business over here for me, and I'll make it easier for you." Isn't it possible? Because that's an easy connection to make. You got the mayor who runs the chief of police. The chief of police runs the police run the streets.
The lead Democrat. On top of that, Tiffany Henyard has shown that she is completely unstable.
Everybody got a grandstand on their point. And then when I say something, now everybody got to say something back. When I give everybody the flow, say whatever.
And let me say this.
Y'all want to say. Y'all got the flow. You don't got to respond after.
Who cares what she's talking about? You remember when your mom and daddy used to fuss at you? If you grew up around narcissists, you know, they get into these fussing, they go forever. I had to be healed from that. That was something that was developing in me and was growing in me from being a child. And I was blessed enough to have a friend who was like, you got to let stuff go. You can't be going on and on and on and on and on about something that upset you. Oh my God. Man, my parents used to fuss at me just like this. And in my head, it sounded just like this. That's why I understand when Beyonce was at the basketball game. Because sometimes you just gotta let the music play and be somewhere else right now. Man, my parents would be fussing. I'll be like, shut the fuck up.
Through the fires for y'all. Us, me and my administration. So don't y'all ever talk to them like that. Don't y'all ever tell them that they was told what to say. Because they don't. They got mad at themselves. And they all...
And since she's ranting, allow me to remind you that she is telling someone what to say by telling them not to tell somebody else.
And taken out is something that is not beyond her. I mean, nothing has shown that Tiffany A. Haynard would face any consequences for her actions. She's been allowed to loot the treasury. In fact, she was appropriated money recently in order to pay off the police cars, and that money is missing.
In yet another shock to Village of Dalton trustees, a letter falling on their desks dated February 14th. Representatives from Kansas State Bank threatening to repossess 13 Village vehicles, saying more than $76,000 is overdue and climbing.
The Board of Trustees approved payment in May of 2023.
But where that loan payment went that was due 9 months ago is anyone's guess.
At the end of the day, vendors are not being paid. Board approved it. The vendors are not being paid.
How about you be a good leader, bring RFPs to the forefront, so not just us, but the residents and everybody else in America know how the money is being spent.
And now those vehicles are on the cusp of being repossessed, and an executive is obligated by law to spend the money where it's appropriated, yet there is no talk of criminal charges related to this. Now, I am super hopeful that eventually we'll get a DOJ investigation. I'm super optimistic that eventually the FBI will raid her, because I would just love to read through the court documents related to all the different various crimes in the...
Let me give you an update on that repossession thing, and I'm sure if you're here, you've seen the videos that I posted from the Millionaire Morning Show, where Trustee Jason House announced that a check has finally been released based on what he understands. But someone asked in the comments, did the check have 2 signatures on it? Somebody else was wondering if I was wondering if the check had actually been sent, or if it was certified funds or anything like that. And I was trying to find the video where Trustee Jason House made that announcement so I could give you a date. But excuse me, I don't see the video. I'm on this channel, but I don't see the video. So just look at the breakdown playlist. You'll see the shorts and the videos that I've created pertaining as well. The original video is in the breakdown playlist. So take a look and you'll be able to see Trustee Jason House's update concerning the repossessions. And that was simply that from what he understood, the check had been released. Keep in mind that trustees approved that bill to be paid in May of last year, almost a year ago. That's fucking nuts. That's crazy.
Lengthy case that could be compiled against this woman because she's completely absurd, insanely corrupt, and eventually something's gotta give. And I say this as someone who has been on this for a very long time, who has entertained you guys with these stories, who actually profits off the craziness of Tiffany A. Haynard, that enough is enough. Like, this woman has to go to prison. This woman has to be investigated.
And I'll say for myself, I do not profit off of any of this. You have the pleasure of enjoying this channel commercial free, and it's at my pleasure as well, because every single time I'm offered monetization, I look at what's required and it takes me more and more away from what I enjoy doing here. So as long as I don't have to, I won't monetize this channel because it doesn't make sense to me.
she has to be removed from office, because no matter how bad that would be for my channel not being able to cover her, it's worse for the residents of Dalton. It's worse for the Thornton Township residents as well. Now, like I said, everything about this attempted hit on this critic is all speculation. It's all stuff that is coming from the victim in this particular scenario, and unlike the other cases that I've covered that are definitely, clearly, and obviously, in my opinion,
And I think he's saying that to protect himself, but it's also as much speculation that when the police went into Pablo's today, it was as a result of the news going in and the FBI going in yesterday. She don't move different. You know, all of a sudden this woman has gunshots to 2 of her vehicles because she's arranged protests against the mayor, and the mayor's already been at her house several times and asked her neighbors where she was, like a dumbass. Who does that? You just
in corruption and illegal. I think this one is a little bit more open to interpretation. So I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you believe that this woman had her car and her home shot up?
Well, you have to remember too, there are some channels who've gotten their content removed from YouTube for harassment and bullying, but I'm not going to be cocky because things could happen. I have had a live shut down before because of that. I just started a new live with a different name. When I was in college studying broadcast, we were taught about those things and how to avoid them as we do our work as journalists, so to speak. So I'm familiar with the ways to get around harassment and bullying. I won't tell nobody else because my mama didn't pay for that degree. I'll let him continue though.
By somebody who is acting on behalf of the super mayor, or do you think it's just a coincidence? There was a shooting at an AutoZone in Dalton just last week, so sometimes things like this tend to happen. There's nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. It's just coincidental that when she started criticizing the super mayor, that she was being harassed by the super mayor, and then somebody came and did a drive-by shooting on her place and hit 2 of her vehicles, because, you know, that's just normal and not odd at all. Again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. As usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my...
Well, that is what I have for y'all tonight. I wanted us to take a look at that. You know, it seems like, I'm gonna tell you the truth. You know what's really scary? Trustee Brandy Norwood said what's scary for her is not knowing what's in the bank account. What's scary for me is that these patterns are getting progressively more dangerous. Every time I've talked to you guys and come to you with something like this, it's been about the pattern, right? Her modus operandi. It is getting dangerous, and I think a step back should be taken from the mayor, because you don't want to end up in jail for murder. I mean, you're already going to go to jail for fraud. You'll be in. Listen, Tiffany, I've already seen it. You'll be in and out in like 3 years. Your wigs will be at home waiting for you. You've already gotten your teeth done. You got your nose job. You got your boobs done with the people's money. You've already done all that. And you can get stuff done while you're in there too, because you're definitely going to federal prison. You probably want to be in there any longer than 3 to 5 years. Don't commit murder, honey. Don't do that. It's not worth it, honey. You will never operate in a political office ever again. You won't even be able to probably buy lottery tickets after all this is over. But don't take somebody else's life and put yourself in a situation where you got to reap the karma. Look at what Portia's going through, Tiffany. Because she thought she won. She thought she got away with something, and now she's reaping the karma. Okay? Baby, you got to stop living that low life mindset, that low life. You got to stop having that hood appetite. Okay? Because it's really going to land you in a place you can't handle. You can handle federal prison. You can handle Club Fed. Baby, you don't want to be. And them Chicago prisons are bad. I mean, they cold, bitch. You don't want to end up in that situation with some real bitches. Some street bitches, some what's really hood bitches. You don't want to end up that when keeping it real goes wrong type of bitch. Okay? So take it from me, pull back. You might just want to throw your hands up. If you're not going to catch a flight in the morning, because I had to catch a flight. I caught a couple flights. Listen, if you don't have no, because I hope with all this you've at least gotten a passport and one for your daughter as well. And the new ones are nice. My daughter's new passport just came a couple days ago, and they're really nice. I hope you and Justice have gotten passports, because if you're not going to leave the country, just throw your hands up. They got you already. They got you. We got you. It's only going to get worse for you from here. You can't muscle anybody in this situation. Unfortunately, your mind type gets worse. It doesn't get better. And if it does get better, it's just to set somebody else up for something that's worse later. But I just want to talk to your sensibility. You understand? We're hoping that you just be like, you know what? One day you come to work, toss your kids on the desk, be like, let the FBI know I'm ready. I'm going to tell them what I know. Because Keith is going to, we heard his single today. He's a horrible rapper. So I can't imagine that he's any better of an administrator. I thought he looked like Kanye. All this time I was like, damn, he got that mush mouth like Kanye. But there he go thinking he Jay-Z. Got the little Jay-Z fake swag or whatever. But anyway, y'all, I just hope that Tiffany is receiving the energy of common sense so she don't go to prison. Because, baby, these patterns are getting dangerous and worse. And eventually, your mama's going to be a mama. And we don't want Justice to be raised by your mama. Your mama looks like she spent her whole life raising kids. Sorry. And we just want her. We just want her to enjoy her later years and not have to continue to raise anybody else's kids. So stay at least in a position where Justice can come visit you. That's all I got. Ain't got no motherfucking more, bitch. Bye. Good night, y'all.